Can you tell me a story?
Sure. Once upon a time, a mom needed a new car.
Was she brave?
She was tired, mostly. But she went to Carvana.com and found a great car at a great price. No secret treasure map required.
Did she have to fight a dragon?
Nope, she bought it 100% online. From her bed, actually.
Was it scary?
Honey, it was as unscary as car buying could be.
Did the car have a sunroof?
It did, actually.
Okay, good story.
Car buying you'll want to tell stories about. Buy your car today on
Carvana.
Delivery fees may apply.
You're listening to this podcast, so I know you've got a curious mind. Here's a helpful fact you might not know yet. Drivers who switch and save with Progressive save over $900 on average. Pop over to Progressive.com, answer some questions, and you'll get a quick quote with discounts that are easy to come by. In fact, 99% of their auto customers earn at least one discount. Visit Progressive.com and see if you can enjoy a little cash back. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. National average 12-month savings of $946 by new customers surveyed who saved with Progressive between June 2024 and May 2025. Potential savings will vary.
At Arizona State University, we're bringing world-class education from our globally acclaimed faculty to you. Earn your degree from the nation's most innovative university. Online. That's a degree better. Learn more at asuonline.asu.edu.
For the haters, come on, do it now or later. Yeah. It don't matter what your name is, share your story. We'll be waiting. Yeah. For the haters, whoa.
Welcome back, everyone, to For the Haters podcast. Today, we're sitting down with Bree. Bree is a mom of two, and she's lived her entire life inside a body the doctors didn't expect to last. She was diagnosed with a heart condition when she was just 3 months old. They told her mom that she might not even see 6 months, and then a year. Then that if she made it past 1, she'd never walk. And if she'd walk, she'd never have any quality of life. Bree is now 49. She's the only one still here from the group of kids born around the same time with what she had. This is her story. Bree grew up in Portland, Oregon. Her mom, Pam, raised her alongside her older brother and younger sister, and what Bree calls some dads along the way. For most kids, childhood is school, birthdays, and trying to figure out just where you fit in. For Bree, it was also a children's hospital. The drives there, the appointments with her mom, the nasty green medicine, a whole array of tests, and a room full of doctors and a cardiologist who called her his miracle baby. Pam was a woman of faith. She believed God had his hand on her daughter. So even with everything the doctors had said, 6 months, the year, the walking, the quality of life, Pam refused to put her in a bubble. She let her play basketball, volleyball, softball, all through high school. She told her to go conquer the world, and if her body said no, to try something else. It was a gift, and it was a kind of faith that Bree would carry with her, quietly, for the rest of her life.
So I always remember going, it was like a big event. I got to spend the whole day with my mom, and we would go up to Dornbecker Children's, and I would have a whole array of tests. All the doctors would come in, and I had no idea what was going on. I just remember having to take the nasty green medicine. And it was about, I would say, kindergarten is when I really started paying attention to kind of more what it was, because there were things that I did want to do, and my mom was worried about it. And then I would overhear conversations after my visits, and I noticed kind of as I got a little bit older that every time we went, there were less and less other kids that had been going at the same time that we were, because back in the 70s, early 80s, HIPAA wasn't really a big thing. So I would say about 5 is when I really started understanding that there was something different.
She noticed before anyone explained it to her. The waiting rooms kept getting emptier. The same family she'd been seeing her whole short life, the same kids, they stopped showing up. And she was still there. Most of those kids didn't live past 5. Bree wouldn't know that for sure until she was a little bit older. That was the same year that Bree stopped being the kid who just happened to be sick. That was the year she became the kid who knew she was the only one left.
My mom said that when I would cry, I just turned completely blue. So she took me in, and there was a group of us children that were born around the same time that all presented with the same type of heart condition, and they weren't really sure what it was. My heart is enlarged. It beat faster to try to keep up with my body. I had 2 of my valves, they wouldn't close. And so 3 months is when they first diagnosed me. They didn't expect me to live to 6 months. And then when I did, it was, oh, she's not going to live to a year. Then it's, oh, well, if she does, she's not going to walk. And if she does, she's not going to have any quality of life. And then as I kept going, and I'm the only one left out of that group of children that presented with the heart condition that I had. All the other ones had passed away. So that, yeah, that's, and the thing is that I remember the cardiologist that I would always go to at the children's hospital. He would always call me his miracle baby. And I never really understood that. And then as I got older, so when I was 15 is when I actually got the words dilated cardiomyopathy is what it is. And you hear about cardiomyopathies a lot with the kids who go and just collapse after they're out playing and they just collapse and die. That's a different form of cardiomyopathy, but they're all kind of in the same realm. Mine was caused by a disease, they believe. It was a cold virus that happened to be going around at the time that we were born, and it went to our heart because we were too little to fight it off. That's what they've guessed has happened.
6 months, a year, walking, quality of life. Bree had outlived every single one of those predictions. She'd outlived an entire group of kids who didn't make it. So when she became an adult and her own care landed on her shoulders, she did what a lot of people in her position do. She started to call the bluff.
I'll be really honest with you. I didn't take my heart condition seriously. When I became an adult, I did not take it seriously. I didn't take my medications because they made me feel worse than I did if I didn't take them. I first heard the words heart failure, and that was an absolute shock for me because I don't, you can call it, ignorant or whatever, but I just lived in a bliss of, I've lived this long. You think it's going to take me out now? No, and I did have that attitude of, it's not going to get me. It hasn't. And so, yes, doctor's appointments, medication changes, go back, medication changes again. Then I quit taking my medicine and I was honest about it. And then when I went in and my doctor literally looked at me and said, he didn't know my daughter was in the room. He said, do you know that you could go to sleep and die tonight? Tell me how you sleep after that. Don't think I've had a good restful night's sleep, but you know, that was when I first heard the words heart failure and that there was an actual significant change in my heart condition. And so, to be honest, even after that, I still didn't really, I did for a while, took it very seriously, took my meds, and nothing improved. And I felt worse than when I didn't. So, I became a single mom and I couldn't have down days like that.
The thing about calling the bluff is that it works until it doesn't. You can outrun a diagnosis for 30, 40 years. You can stop taking the meds. You can skip the appointments. You can build a whole life on the bet that there isn't the thing that's going to take you. And then one day, it doesn't work anymore. And you find out the price of being right for that long is when your body finally calls your bluff. It doesn't ask if it's a good time.
I'm 49 now. 7 years ago is when I ended up going in and my heart function had dropped so drastically that they did an emergency, my pacemaker. They put it in 2 weeks later. And since I got it, I've flatlined once and it brought me back to life. And then I was shocked the second time my heart had gone into AFib. And so the first time I was shocked, you don't feel it when you're dead. I was actually floating a river on a sunny, beautiful day, and I died. And I remember it. I remember the calm, peaceful, serene, just, and then from far, far away, all of a sudden I start hearing my name being called. And then it was like all of a sudden, like right back there, right back there. My friends were up in my face, and I was like, what? Did I say something funny? And luckily, my roommate was there, and he was like, no, I think you just got shocked. And I was like, no, I would feel that. No, you don't feel that when you die. I didn't realize the severity of it until the next day.
Bree's not afraid of dying. She's not sure if she ever was. The experience itself was calm. There's nothing about it that holds any fear, but what dying did do was take something from her she didn't know that she had been carrying. Bree had been told her whole life that she was here for a reason, that God had his hand on her, that she was the miracle baby. And somewhere underneath of all that, she had built a quiet certainty that she couldn't actually be taken. So she was invincible. The river took that, not the calm, not the faith, just the part where she thought she couldn't lose.
My doctor called. I had an alert. I have to sleep next to a monitor because of it. And my monitor alerted them that I had been shocked. And they put the paper in front of me and I had flatlined. So I'd asked him at that time, what would have happened if I would have been driving? Like, why did it wait until I died before it shocked me the 2 times? So he adjusted it to shock me sooner. I regret that decision. Let me die and shock me back to life, because let me tell you, this thing, it's like a whole exorcism. It was crazy when I got shocked the second time. I literally regret. I went back to him. I was like, take it back. Go ahead and turn it back to what it was before, because I don't want to do that again.
I don't want to feel that again. At what point was your condition diagnosed at stage 4?
So I've gone back and forth between stage 3 and stage 4. It was 3, 4 years ago now that I
Yeah.
was at the worst that I have ever been.
Wow.
That's when it was diagnosed. The stage 4, my ejection fraction, which is the rate that your heart pumps your blood through your heart, is called EF. My normal ejection fraction is between 60 and 80. And a majority of my life, I've lived with an ejection fraction between like 29 and 35, in between there. And it dropped down to 17. So that's literally my
Mm,
heart tiring. It's tired. Like, I've put it through enough. And so
yeah.
that's when I think my world came crashing down the most. But the thing is, the thing that was different this time is that I felt it. I felt the effects of having heart failure. I got the swollen ankles from the water fluid. I got the feeling of exhaustion. I got the heart palpitation. I felt it. So that was the difference between this time and any time before. I knew that I was in danger. And so I listened to the doctors and I took the meds, and mm, that's a real struggle for me, because the
Yeah.
medication is harsh. It's harsh, and the side effects from it's like, I don't know.
The medications don't fix a heart like Bree's. They just slow down the failure. And the side effects, the dizziness, the exhaustion, the blood pressure drops, the mornings where she wakes up already feeling like she's run a marathon, those are the price of admission, the cost of being here.
What does that look like for you in terms of care, limitations, and daily routines?
I do qualify to have, like, assisted care. I qualify to have somebody come in and do the cleaning, do the grocery shopping, do all of that stuff, but I am stubborn AF, I will tell you that, and I won't let someone do that. I feel like if I do that, then I'm really giving in, you know? So I still do all of that on my own. I live on my own. I still do the cleaning. I have dogs. I still take them out. I still go hang out with my daughters and do all of the things. I do a lot less than I ever did before, and that is really the hardest thing for me. That is the part that of grieving who I used to be, because I can't be the person that shows up at my friend's house to help them clean their house because they're struggling. I started a homeless outreach many years ago, and I would put on events, would do free haircuts, food, lunches, clothing, all the things. And I haven't been able to do that. And that just pulls and pulls at me. I've slept more the last 4 years than I probably have accumulated my entire life. And part of that is the heart condition, part of that is the medication. Like, my heart function is already so slow and so low, and then they put you on these medications that make it slow down even farther. It's hard. And the hardest part is that it's the driving. I won't go and drive if I have like the dizziness and stuff like that. So that's the hardest part. So I'm getting closer to accepting help as far as running errands and things like that because I just don't drive and do the things that I used to. And I have a very good therapist. I will tell you that because
Yeah, that was my next question was how do you mentally and emotionally navigate the reality of this diagnosis?
it's kind of a daily thing. One, because it's a daily thing on how I feel, but it's also just readjusting our mindset as to the expectations that we put on ourselves. Like,
Yeah.
everything that I think that I should be doing and, oh my gosh, I'm not, it's expectations that I've put on myself from my entire life, hearing that, "Oh, you're a miracle child." Oh, it's like I feel like I have to be out doing something great all the time, and that's what makes me something, you know what I mean? That's what gives me my
Mhm.
value. I've been really processing through that and finding my value without being the person for everyone else and doing all of the things and going, 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 and realizing that calm is okay, that it's not tired and calm are not a representation of laziness. Not being able to
Mhm.
do something is not a representation of laziness. And a lot of those words and that voice stems from my childhood. So,
Yeah.
as much as I was given the gift of not being put in a bubble, I was also made to feel certain ways about resting and being tired and all of those things. So, that's all
Yeah.
things that I'm still processing through, but I've come a long way and I'm finding my joy again at the end of the dark tunnel of the diagnosis. I don't want my diagnosis to define me because I'm not just heart failure. That's not just who I am. There's so much more to me than that. And I'm finding my value again.
Letting someone else take the reins when it comes to physically getting things done is one thing, but what toll does that take on your mental health? Not only does Bree have to deal with the emotional stress of a chronic illness, but she feels an added layer of unspoken pressure. The pressure to do something great with her life because of what she survived. Being called a miracle baby is a beautiful thing when you're little. It's heavier when you grow up because when you keep being told you're here for a reason and you keep waiting for the reason to show up in some big visible way, eventually the waiting itself becomes the wait.
You're made to feel that, like, oh, since you survived and you're alive and you're here for a reason, that you need to go accomplish nothing but greatness. Like, you need to go save lives and be the greatest thing ever because you're here for a reason. I don't think I was ever told that as a negative way. I think people tried to say it as such a positive way of like, "Oh, wow." But the back end of that is that you don't realize the pressure and the weight that does put on a person because it makes you feel like, "Oh, now I have to conquer the world because I'm here. I'm obviously here
Yeah.
because I'm supposed to do something great. I'm supposed to invent something or be a great doctor and save all of those things go through your mind all the time. So it feels
Mhm.
like the goal is constantly moving and that you never reach it because no matter what you do, no matter what success you have, no matter what you accomplish, it doesn't ever feel like it's enough to satisfy that you're here for a reason.
If you spend your whole life waiting for the reason to be visible, to invent something, to save someone, to do the thing that makes the survival make sense, eventually you have to find another place to put it. Somewhere quieter, somewhere closer to home, somewhere that doesn't need anyone else to see it for it to count. Bree found that in motherhood.
I lived a lot of my life in the bubble of doing what I thought was what I was supposed to do. I followed the guidelines of, oh, this is what you're supposed to do as a woman. You have babies, you get married, you be a good wife, you do all of the things, right? And I will tell you this, I've done a lot of things in my life, but my number one success, my children. They have made me successful. So looking at them, I'm able to say I did conquer that mountain because I brought 2 amazing humans into the world, and I get to look at my daughter and see how amazing she is and be like, "Okay, so maybe I didn't save a million people, maybe I didn't go conquer the world, but I did give the world this amazing human who is kind and loving and caring." That is my success right there.
Loving someone harder than anyone else in your life doesn't make you less afraid of leaving them. Sometimes it makes you more afraid. And the kids feel that, whether you want them to or not.
How has your journey affected your role as a mother, especially now with your kids being grown?
It was actually only a couple years ago that I realized how much it actually affected my daughter. My daughter's not a real, let me tell you about my feelings type of girl. She keeps it in, stuffs it down, and I'm working on that with her. But we were talking about therapy and stuff like that, and her wife happened to say, I know your mom's heart condition had living with that has affected you. And it was just in a passing comment to her. And I didn't realize how much it actually did affect her. I always thought that because I was working multiple jobs. I was coaching her cheerleading and her volleyball. I coached her volleyball up through her junior year from when she started in 3rd grade. I always thought that because I kept going and doing, that they would look at that I was okay. I didn't realize how much that weight was really on them and worrying them in the back of their mind. It's hard because now she is an adult, so I'm like, "Okay, I can tell you all of the things," but then at the same time, I don't because I don't wanna put that, pressure on her. I don't wanna be a burden to my children, and that is what is always in my mind as a mother. Raising my kids and having kids is that, I don't have my children with the expectation that they owe me anything when they get older and have to take care of me. Oh, I'm getting teared up because the idea of being a burden, oh, that's that's the hard part. That's a hard thing for me, and I don't wanna do that to my children.
This part hit me. I am the kid of someone who went through a terrible disease. And listening to Bree talk about feelings like she's just existing, feeling like she doesn't want to be a weight on her kids, I wanted to reach through the conversation and tell her taking care of a parent who's sick is hard. It's exhausting, it's scary, but it's not a burden. And the part that hurts the most isn't the caretaking, it's watching them carry it alone because they don't want to put it on you.
You've talked a lot about grieving too, right? Like you're grieving yourself. You're probably grieving a life for your children. What does that grief feel like?
Oh, it's so heavy. It's so heavy because I have always been really just outgoing, have fun, adventurous person. Like I feel like you can get in your car and ride to the store and make it an adventure. And I feel like I've always tried to maintain a positive mindset because I truly feel like that's what has made the difference in my health. I feel like not dwelling on it and not thinking about it and not making that my number one priority has really what has gotten me to where I am. So now dealing with the darkness and the depression and the grief, or I would say dealing with the grief has turned into a depression. I found myself stuck in that grief. I found myself I didn't see any light at the end of the tunnel. I would open my eyes and wish I hadn't. I would open my eyes and wonder, like, why? What's the point? My daughter's married, she's living her life. My son is married, he's living his life. And her wife and his wife need to be their priority. I'm not in a relationship. I have friends, but they also have their lives. And I would literally ask myself every morning, what is the point of waking up? Like, why? I'm literally just existing instead of living. That has been very, very hard to climb out of that darkness. And as I'm going in the right direction, and I know that because I'm having more joy-filled days. I'm having more days where I'm waking up not with that heavy grief of not wanting to be here. So I know I'm headed in the right direction. I have a tattoo on my arm that says get busy living or get busy dying. And I got that the month after I got my pacemaker. It's a quote from Shawshank Redemption, and I look at that all the time, and I think that's the grief, and that is what I struggle with the most, is that I'm literally just existing right now. So, getting back to the life of living and getting back to doing the small things and enjoying it, looking, smelling, stopping and smelling the roses. It's such a cliche type of quote, but it's true. It is true. It's all of the small things that then pile up to be something great that make your days amazing. And so I'm getting back to that mindset and that perspective.
There's a kind of grief nobody really teaches you how to carry. It's not the grief of losing someone, it's the grief of losing the version of yourself you used to be. The you who could go and do. The you who didn't have to think about every set of stairs. The you who was the mom your kids needed instead of the mom they had to worry about. Bree isn't grieving a person, she's grieving herself. And the hardest part of that kind of grief is that the person you're missing is still in the room.
I am very involved in my daughter and her wife's life. I don't really have a lot of a social life, but when I am waking up and feeling good, that is who I go and hang out with. We have journal nights. They just moved and I was there helping them. Like we do, they are my best friends. They are my best friends. I just keep a lot of the weight of the grief and all of the stuff that I'm feeling. I keep a lot of that to myself. There are times and bits and pieces that I do share with them, and I usually talk to my daughter-in-law because she will talk to my daughter. It's not that I can't talk to my daughter or not, like, I don't really know how to explain that. It sounds like I'm not able to talk to my daughter in a way, but it's like her wife, they're there, she can say, "Hey, by the way, your mom mentioned this," or whatever. Or if it comes down to it, then I'll talk to my daughter, but I am very involved in their life.
It just sounds like it's almost like a guardrail for you with it's easier to talk to her. And also there's a better nature of maybe how your daughter-in-law presents things to your daughter where she can consume it a little bit easier and it makes it a balance for both of you. I think that's a beautiful middle ground that you take to be able to protect her and have that balance. Like I think that that dynamic is beautiful for you.
Thank you. I actually am very lucky with that because no matter what, no matter how old you are, like I'm mom and I have mom voice. And so when anything comes out of my mouth, the child hears it, no matter how old you are. That's just the way it is when it comes to your mom. So her wife is very, very helpful. They've been together since their freshman year of high school. And so I know her I'm very close with her. She lived with me for a while, with my daughter, and so, like, I'm very lucky that I have that relationship with her, and, yeah, she has a different tone, she has different words, she has different things that she can present things to my daughter, and that's honestly the day I found out that I was in heart failure and it was so bad, I went straight to their house, but that's who I talked to. My daughter wasn't home yet, and her wife was just like, "Alright, what's going on?" Because she could tell on my face, and so I am very blessed that my daughter has a wife who takes that on for her, you know what I mean? And is willing to have those conversations with me to be more protective of her. Thank you for seeing that. That is a beautiful dynamic. I am actually very blessed to have that.
we're all still learning, right? I think that there's a lot of life to learn for you. I'm really hoping that maybe there's someone that listened that's been in a similar situation that can help you maybe in missing some of those next steps that you can take to find that happiness again, because you have such great energy and I can tell that you give to so many people. And it's a lot harder to do that when you don't feel that for yourself.
There's no roadmap for what Bree is doing, no clear timeline, no version of this where someone tells her how it's going to end or when. Every doctor she's ever had has been wrong about how long she had. Wrong in the right direction, but wrong. So, how do you keep getting up? How do you keep believing tomorrow is worth showing up for when nobody can promise you there's going to be one?
I look at the face of my children, honestly, and I even, even though I've stumbled a little bit the last few years and felt like I was hopeless, like in the back of my mind, there was always obviously something that still kept me around. I know exactly what it was. I would never ever do anything. I have dealt with suicide in my family. My stepfather did, and so that is not something I would ever do to anybody in my family, no matter how dark I got. But I always remember myself when I was feeling my best. That's what gives me the hope. That's what gives me the hope to hold on to, is that I literally remember myself in when I was feeling the best and the freedom, the everything. And so that knowing that I have that in me and knowing that is a part of me and who I am, that's the hope that I hold on to get a little bit of that back. So as hard and dark as things get, it's still my own personal, like, it's still me giving myself that hope.
Long before the river, before the pacemaker, before the diagnosis at stage 4, Bree was a teenager who fell for a boy. She was 15 when they met, 16 when they started dating, 19 when they got married, 20 when she had her son. Bree had never seen a healthy relationship. There was turmoil in her house. She'll tell you that. So she grabbed onto this one. He was, by her own account, an amazing dad before the drugs, a hard worker. He made her and the kids the most important thing. And then he wasn't.
There was drug abuse from this person, and so it made him become somebody that I didn't even know. And the last time that it happens, I literally blacked out. And when I came to, he was on the ground and I was kicking him, telling him, "You will never do this to me again." And that was it. That was the last day. And this is the thing, is that person had to remain in my life because I had children with them. We really draw the line of the relationship that him and I had and him being the father of my children. Because no matter what he did to me, he had a right to have a relationship with his kids. So there was a period of time where that didn't happen for a little while. And then when I saw improvements, then he was, allowed to come back. Now, when I look back and now that I know more things, I wish I would have been a lot more strict as far as me allowing him, for maybe taking a little more time before I allowed him into the lives of my kid. But this is the thing, is that I never ever worried about my kids when it came to him. What I worried about was them growing up seeing that and thinking that was okay. And that's what gave me the strength. I never worried that he would ever do anything to my kids ever. I knew that he wouldn't. I never ever was concerned about that. I knew that once he got away from the drug situation, because that 100% changed him from the person that he was. And so once that stopped, like, I was able to maintain a friendship with him for the sake of my kids, because I'm the one that chose to have kids with him. And I 100% know that things only went the way that they did because he did get involved in drugs. And I was lucky enough to see him as a person before that and know the person that he was before that. So I think that's what made it actually easier for me to have him still involved in my life and my kids' life. But it wasn't my job to take him away from his kids. He was responsible for the relationship that he had with his kids. I never wanted my kids to hurt. So there were times that I took the blame for a lot of things that happened. There were times that I took the blame when he didn't show up. I made the excuses and he got to be the fun time dad, and but everything happens for a reason, honestly. Everything happens for a reason. And that's I truly do believe that we don't ever understand them sometimes, but like every path or everything that we've been through sends us to the next path that we need to go down.
Do you feel like the lessons that you learned through that have helped you continue to move forward?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think that is one thing that has helped me survive and get me to where I am now is that looking at all of the situations as lessons and really reminding myself and giving myself grace that this is my first time doing this life too. Like, this is my first time here. This is, reminding myself that and taking everything that I've been through and really looking at it as to what can I learn from it and what can I learn from it that's going to make things better going forward. And so I've literally always looked at things in life as like lessons. It's not the word trauma is thrown around a lot and a lot of people have a lot of that baggage and I've always said, yeah, I've been through that, but the lesson it's a lesson. So I think that really just changing your mind and making the decision on how you want to look at stuff like that, your past, no matter how bad it is what can give you the strength and the energy going forward. Is that not taking the negative out of it, but really looking at what lesson and looking at the strength that you had personally to get through it. Because dang, I've been through some stuff and I seriously think back and look at that I'm like, wow, you are strong. Give yourself that credit, girl, because you did that.
With everything, what boundaries and practices have helped you feel safe emotionally and physically?
I'll tell you this, I was 45 years old before I even learned what boundaries were. And then you hear about them and you see, and stuff like that. But to actually implement them was very hard for me. I'm very strong willed, but also part of me is kind of a people pleaser because I have this like inside of me of never feeling like enough, like growing up. And so I feel like I really became kind of a people pleaser. I don't know. Actually, I don't know if that's really fair to say that I became a people pleaser because it's always used as kind of a negative term. And I don't feel like I think that was the part of me of doing things for other people made me feel good, like helping things for other people. So I don't know if that's considered people pleasing or not. But I've stopped that. I've learned to really start protecting my own peace. I've set boundaries for people who can be in my life or who cannot be in my life. It's hard. It's hard when you're setting boundaries with people who have been around in your life for a really long time and know you as a certain way. And then all of a sudden you're setting this hard boundary of like, I'm not accepting that treatment anymore. That is hard. That's when it's like a gut punch to your stomach that someone you have considered either a family or friend for all of your life, that now when you're respecting yourself enough to set a boundary, they're like, "Oh, hey, I don't like this version of you." Okay. You just showed who you really are. Because honestly, the true people in your life will be around for every era, every boundary, everything and respect you for it. And that's something that I've literally learned in the last 3 or 4 years is that me holding on to someone, it's a waste of time. That me setting my boundaries and the people who respect them will be there. The people who deserve a place in my life will be there. And the ones who get upset about it don't deserve to have that spot in my life anyway. And it's difficult at first. It is very difficult at first to set boundaries, especially with family members and close friends. But the inner peace that it gives you And even the confidence I feel like that it gives you when you're like, you know what? No, I'm not accepting that from you anymore. I deserve better than that. It's kind of like a wow, okay. Oh, right. I did that. It actually is kind of a confidence builder when you set those boundaries for yourself. And I love that.
Setting a boundary is one of the hardest things a person can do. Not because the boundary itself is hard, because of what it costs. You lose people you've known your whole life, people who liked you better when you were quieter, smaller, more available, more willing to disappear into what they needed from you. And that's the part no one warns you about. That the price of finally protecting your peace is finding out who was only there for the version of you who didn't have any boundaries. Bree learned that at 45. Some people never learn it at all.
What do you want others to understand about living with chronic illness and depression?
I feel like with depression, people who haven't dealt with it think that it's a fake thing. And they think that it's just something that is being made up and that it's just us sitting in our room curled up in a ball crying and oh, we're making it up because we don't want to do something or we want that's an excuse. And it depression is such a debilitating place to be. Like your minds can want you and will you to do a lot of things, but your body won't let you, or vice versa. Your body's like, hey, let's go. And your mind is like, no, let's not. I feel like people need to give other people more grace when it comes to dealing with depression, dealing with chronic illness, because one, I guarantee any thought that has gone through your mind from me telling you what I have, I've already thought it about myself a million times before you have. And the worst thought that you have about it, I've already thought that a million times too. So there's not anything that you can say or do that I haven't already thought about. We need to give more people grace when it comes to chronic illnesses and depression because,
Yeah. Or just grace in general, right? Because
yeah,
it's invisible. You don't know. Like just giving people grace in general just because you don't know what they're going through or have
that
been
is the
through.
thing. We do not know what anybody is going through at any time. And I will tell you this, the day that I 100% realized that was the day that my stepfather had committed suicide. Later, after things had calmed down, I had run down to the little store just to grab a soda, and I'm standing in line, dying inside. And the people around me are laughing and talking. And in my mind, I'm thinking, how can you be laughing and talking? Don't you realize like the whole world just like in my mind? That's what I'm thinking. And that day is when I really realized that like we have no idea what any battles that anybody is dealing with. So literally approaching everybody with the utmost respect, kindness, and grace. Like you have no idea how that might change somebody's life. That I just the smallest amount of kindness could change somebody's life in the biggest way, and you don't know that. Like, you don't know, so show kindness as much as you can, honestly.
Couldn't agree more.
Like,
Why was it important for you to come on here and share your story?
one, because I finally feel like I'm at a place again where I do feel like my story could be inspiring, and for a really long time, I didn't. And in my darkest moments of depression and stuff like that, I didn't. And, like, I'm climbing out of that and seeing the beautiful things in life again and finding my joy again and remembering who I am as a joyful person. And if that can bring hope to even just one person, then it's worth sharing like your story. Everybody's got baggage, everybody's got a story, everybody's got something that they've been through. But like knowing that you're not alone in it sometimes makes it easier. Even if it's not somebody that you know, just knowing that other people are in the same place that you are. Like if I could honestly inspire one person at all, then that adds to my pile of success for being here for a reason.
My final question to you is if you could tell your younger self anything, what would it be?
I would tell her that she's not the weird girl. Continue finding joy in all of the small things. Remember the things that are happy. And honestly, I think I would tell her, girl, you are stronger than you think. And don't let anybody tell you any different. Don't let anybody make you feel any different. Don't let anybody tell you any different, because you've got some stuff coming up, but you are strong. You are a strong girl. And I think that is something that my younger self probably really needed to hear. That, like, my life and who I am isn't my diagnosis. I'm not cardiomyopathy. I'm not a heart condition. I'm so much more than that. And I love that person.
Get busy living or get busy dying. She says she doesn't think there's a more perfect quote for herself. And every time she looks down at it, it reminds her that her life is up to her, that she does get to decide whether to enjoy it, whether to see the beauty in everyday things, whether to contribute to the kindness of the world or not. 49 years, 2 kids she wasn't supposed to have, 1 flatline she didn't feel, a miracle baby who grew up and outlived everyone she started with. And after all of that, here's what she says now. She doesn't want to just exist. She wants to live. Bree, thank you for trusting us with your story, for sitting with the hard parts and the parts that don't tie up cleanly. Your story isn't about getting better. Your heart is what your heart is. It's about waking up and deciding every single morning that there's a difference between being alive and actually living. It's about the quiet courage it takes to choose the second one when nobody is watching. Thank you for showing us what it looks like. And thank you, everyone, for listening to For the Haters. We will see you next Sunday. Don't forget to leave a comment, to share these episodes, and to follow along and help people know that they are not alone.
For the haters, come on, do it now or later. Yeah. It don't matter.